Let's make some noise. Come on.
Yeah, thank you, Nick Foles. Yes, indeed. Let's make some noise. Welcome back, everybody, to the final word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Which boy, MattyB on the call on this lovely Monday night. Boring Monday night. Got really nothing going on tonight. You got one football. Is it one? No, it's two next week. Yeah, one tonight. But Philly's not in action. Flyers not in action. And the Eagles, of course, played yesterday. So nothing really cooking tonight other than we can rewind, and we're definitely going to dissect because we've had 24 hours now to process the Eagles' victory yesterday against the Los Angeles Rams, 33-26 in walk-off fashion on the Jordan Davis block field goal that he returned for the icing on top touchdown with no time remaining on the clock. And we have 24 hours to sit and think. We've had 24 hours to process, and now we can get to maybe one last time get into a deep dive of this game. Everything from what happened on the field to everything that happened off the field and the dramatic offensive turnaround of the Philadelphia Eagles in the second half and what that was all about, where the origins of that was, and where is it headed for the rest of the season. And we'll get into some of that. The Phillies off today as they look to get back together tomorrow. They will play the Florida Marlins. Miami Marlins in a 3-game set, kind of wrapping up the season and finish everything up on Friday for a weekend set against the Twins before the playoffs start. Not, as I said, not much happening in the world of the Phillies either tonight, as that's what happens when there's no baseball. And I'm starting to, it sucks because with the season ending, regardless of whether or not the Phillies make it, win a World Series or not, the days of having something to talk about almost nightly about the Phillies are coming to an end. And that's, again, a very sorrowful moment for me, but we'll get into some Phillies as they make the stretch run. We're also going to talk some awards being given out by the Philly organization today. The Paul Owens Awards were given out for the best fielder and pitcher, or I should say position player and pitcher in the Phillies minor league system. We'll reveal who they were, and a slam dunk, if you ask me. These two players definitely deserve the honors that they got. So we'll get into that. We'll do your day in Philadelphia sports history, your card review, and anything else that suits your fancy. Come on, bring any title up you like, and we'll discuss it. It's an open forum here on the program tonight as a boring Monday night sits in front of us in the Delaware Valley. So let's get it rolling. Joe, how are you? It's good to see you again tonight. Before we start, though, let me remind you that this show, as along with any other shows, are brought to you by the fine It's a Wrap Sports Network. And here you go. Here is our schedule for this week. Tonight, just me. Tomorrow, you got the Fighting's Final and me. And then we get into our midweek, and then we get busy again in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So week kind of starts off strong. Week starts weak, and then it ends very strong. So make sure that you're checking us out regularly. Some changes that are coming up. We are going to be tweaking some things here soon. Some programs are going to see some new faces. New programs will also debut as we're constantly changing things around. So keep your eye on the network for all the gripping changes that might be happening over the next month or so. Ryan, how you doing, man? Good to see you tonight. You ready to talk some Eagles tonight, Ryan? Ricky Deal, what's going on? Are you going in and out? No, Ricky, I am not. I am Ricky. It's not me. It's you. And whatever internet you're running off. Are you borrowing Pat Bernard's internet, Ricky? Are you guys like sharing it? Because it is not me. I am stable. The only thing in my life that is stable right now is my internet connection. So I got that going for me. But let's get it rolling here on the program. And we start every show off with your day in Philadelphia sports history. And we go back to the ripe year of 2008 because I think this is a very pertinent fact. On this night, back in 2008, everybody says that world championships in baseball are won by pitching. And it's hard not to kind of agree with that. There's a lot of examples throughout history that pitching has definitely carried a team to a world championship. There's probably more examples from the pitching than the offense. But in 2008 was not one of them years because the eventual world champion in 2008, your Philadelphia Phillies, really did not go into the playoffs with a strong pitching staff. Yeah, they had Cole Hamels, who pitched his ass off, won the NLCS and World Series MVP. But other than that, you just had a bunch of scrappers. And as we get ready for the 2025 playoffs, I think that's something to take into consideration. But what the Phillies had in 2008 was an extremely potent offense. So back on this night in 2008, conventional wisdom says that pitching wins world championships. But the Phillies pitching staff was not their greatest asset in 2008. Cole Hamels won the World Series MVP, pitching lights out baseball in the postseason, but it was Philadelphia's bats that got them to the big stage. The Phillies had a franchise best 18-game home run streak from September 3rd to the 22nd, which helped them wrestle another NL East title away in the season's final days. By the start of the streak, the Phillies were 3 games back in the division's lead. By the end, they were 2.5 up and one of the hottest teams in baseball. So as we got ready for the 2008 eventual World Championship run, and I remember the 08 season, it wasn't a pretty season. It was kind of clunky, and the 2025 season for the Phillies has gone considerably better in terms of, I hate to say this, but consistency when it comes to the offense. But we lose sight of that, and I've lost sight of that. And I was reminded that tonight as I was researching this fact that, pitching wins World Series. But in the Phillies case in 08, it was really their offense that carried them. And as we get ready for this postseason run, and I've always maintained all season long that I think the Phillies have enough pitching. It's whether or not the offense can pick the pitching up is what's going to be the biggest thing for me watching the Phillies head into the postseason. So on this night, I guess the Phillies clinching the NL East on the backs of their bats. And that is your day in Philadelphia sports history. Hope you enjoyed that. Not a solid fact, but a fact nonetheless. Ricky says, go Phillies. Star Wars joining us here on the program tonight. Star Wars, how are you? Eagles won't make a run to the Super Bowl. Oh, Star Wars, you better be careful. I don't condone that anti-Eagles talk on this platform. I do not want the KGB, the Eagles Gestapo, the Homeritis, the Homer police, whatever you call them. I don't want them bashing your door down here, Star Wars. You got to be careful. Of course, I'm lying. I, of course, condone anti-Eagle speaking on this website or on this show because I open everything up. You guys can express your opinions as you feel that you need to express. And we're definitely going to get into some things, maybe not why the Eagles won't make a Super Bowl run this year, but we're going to try to unpeel the layers a little bit on a game yesterday that was, one for the ages. It was one of those games where you probably will have an opportunity to look back on it. Maybe it shows up in one of these day in Philadelphia sports history books when the Eagles, on the strength of Jordan Davis, who I think was the hands-down MVP in this game, really willed their way to victory. So, but we're going to get into this tonight, Star Wars, I promise you, with Jalen Hurts making the call as a quarterback. Now, that's an interesting point because it's been theorized that Kevin Padula was not, in fact, calling plays in the second half of this football game. And then the question now goes, then who was? Was Jalen Hurts actually making on-the-field calls for the second half offensively for this football team? Was Nick Sirianni calling plays for the Eagles in the second half of this football game? But the popular opinion, after a little dust-up on the sidelines, that Kevin Padula was not making the calls for the offense in the second half. So we're going to get into that. We're definitely going to get into that. Joe says he was at the 08 parade. It was on Halloween, right? October 31st, 2008. Unfortunately, Joe, I was about 7,000 miles to the east of Philadelphia on that day. I was in Iraq. So I unfortunately could not make the parade. But I was at the parade in 80 as a 7-year-old. So I got my parade in for the Phillies. Hopefully I get the opportunity to do another one before I die. But I would have loved to have gone in 08, but I was a little busy at the time. But yes, I remember it well. Defiance makes playoffs. Defense make playoffs. I don't know, man. Defense, Star Wars, defense. I think you can play average defense and win a World Series. I don't think defense is if you're relying on your defense in order to get you a World Series championship. One, you probably have terrible pitching. And two, you probably have average offense. But, I mean, it can happen. But I'm not going to sit here and go to sleep saying defense, just as long as I can make, we're not making errors that we're going to be good. I know I disagree with that. You need it, but I don't think you can You definitely need it, but is that the factor? Is that a win or loss factor in the playoffs defense? Ricky Deal says, now go Eagles. Playoff baseball could be tricky. Yep. It's mostly pitching that's more crucial because the playoffs are mostly low-scoring games. Offenses need to know how to manufacture runs. Not saying it has to be bunting, but making the small things happen by making contact and going with your pitches and hitting sacrifice flies. But also making things happen on the bases with your legs. Yeah, I mean, Ryan. We've been talking about this. I've been talking about this since March. Since March of 2023, to be precise. You're right. And we've been hitting on the importance of I mentioned that I keep a database, like a stat line of non-sexy stats of what the Phillies do as a team. Runners in scoring position, batting average, left on base, errors, hits, stuff like that. And everybody asks me, why am I wasting my time with that stuff? Why do I get wrapped around the axle when it comes to those things? Why not look at OBP, OPS, all that? Because at the end of the day, Ryan, it does come down to whether or not you feel confident your team can get the small things accomplished in the playoffs. When you go into the playoffs averaging 9 runners left on base a game, that doesn't give you a warm and fuzzy that they're going to capitalize on every opportunity that they can get. When you go into the playoffs and your team is batting .230 with runners in scoring position, that doesn't give you the confidence that they're going to be able to manufacture those runs. And the fact that I think I've mentioned the word sacrifice fly as it pertains to the Phillies like 5 times all year also concerns me, because the Phillies are not predicated on doing the small things. They're predicated on hitting the home run. And that has been something that has frustrated, amazed, bedazzled, and bewildered fans for the last 3 years. And I agree with you. And nothing's changed about this team in 2025, and it shouldn't, because it's the same players. Whether or not they can do those small things, because we hang on every pitch in the playoffs. Regardless of what you want to say, it's a different animal, as you said. But we're up there, and I know I'm hanging on every single pitch. Leaving a runner on third base in the first inning bothers me in the playoffs. Leaving a runner on first base in the third inning bothers me in playoff baseball, because that's runs you're leaving on the bases. I agree. And that was been one of my major points heading down the stretch of the Philly season is not the fact that they've been playing really well in the month of September. And I'll give them that. 13-6, I believe, for the month. Pretty much separated themselves, put all to rest the chase in the NL East. All those things went away earlier this month, to their credit. But as we turn the calendar, and as we're getting ready to turn that calendar, can the Phillies do those small things that they failed to do in 24, 23, and 22? Can they do those small things in 2025? And being a stats kind of guy, and I kind of, I predicate myself on that. I look at stats a lot. I wouldn't consider myself an analytical guy, but I do look at stats. By what I see in the similarity of the stats year to year over this era of Phillies baseball, there's not much separation from each season. There's maybe an influx of a 10% to the left or a 10% to the right. Not enough to say, okay, they've changed completely their approach in X, Y, and Z. And that scares me, because in 22, they couldn't get it done. 23, they couldn't get it done. 24, they couldn't get it done. And we're here in 2025, and I hear all the optimistic guys and gals tell me, well, it's every season's different. Absolutely. But every team that the Phillies have ran out there since 2022 is not different. It's the same team. So you can tell me all day long every season is different. But when you're herding out the same people, how do you expect a different result? And it's the same stat lines that are not changing that dramatically for me to really sink my teeth into. How can you get excited that the Phillies are going to do those little things? And it's a major concern of mine and a lot of other Phillies fans heading into the playoffs, that they can't do those little things, that they're going to be predicated on the home run or bust mentality that has not worked in playoffs past. So you're right. Playoffs are tricky, but they're awesome too, all at the same time. I was at the parade in 08. Was I the only one not at the parade in 08? Good God. Some of us were out fighting a war. Sorry I couldn't make it. I was at the first Eagles parade when the Eagles beat the Patriots. I was there too. Cold as hell that day. Phillies won't make a World Series this year. Star Wars coming out it with Star Wars has got his best MattyB going on tonight. Phillies aren't going to make it to the World Series either. Star Wars, one disaster before the other. Let's talk Eagles, and we'll definitely get more into the Phillies. The schedule is changing next month. What? Yeah, it's the playoffs. This team is the same. This is I agree, 100%. Matt, you are a joy to listen to. We agree so much on this. Well, I'm glad you find me entertaining, Ryan, and not a lot of people do. A lot of people have heartburn with me. A lot of people look at me as the anti-Philadelphia sports fan, and and most of those people couldn't hold a candle to my fandom and what I've endured as an Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and Phillies fan, because they were raised in a different era of Philadelphia sports. And I think that's pretty much the biggest problem with the younger generation. They don't know the pain and the suffering that is being a Philadelphia sports fan. And I'm afraid, and I hate to say it's going to sound stupid, but with all this winning and with all this success, especially from the Eagles side, that we're going to lose the edge, that we've lost our edge as sports fans. What has made us the fans that we are? It was born from the fire of disaster and defeat. It was born from the fire of being a laughing stock. That gave us that edge. Now we have all this success, and we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to use it correctly. And I think we're losing our edge. Not to say that I want to go back to those dark days of 1980s football. No, or 1980s baseball. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. But I'm just saying the younger generation needs to heed what the older generation has to say more, because we know what it's like to be back in the cellar, back in the dumpster, back in the basement, whatever. But I think we're losing our edge as Philadelphia sports fans. I really do. And we're coming off as really uber obnoxious, and not that we deserve that deserving. We've been down for so long. Now we're up top. Not that type of obnoxious, just really just whiny obnoxious. Everything from the "we're from Philly, we don't care," which is a big lie. They all care. We care. Majority of them out there care that they're not being respected, which is ridiculous that they care. They shouldn't. But that's a lie. We should stop saying that, because we definitely care. Because if we didn't care, you wouldn't get in your panties in a bunch every time a national pundit or even somebody in this town talks negative about or is critical about one of the teams. Everything from that to just the over the top to the Eagles chants at Phillies games. That stuff is uber obnoxious. It's not even cool. It's not even, let's do some high five and that we deserve that. No, man, it sounds stupid. And I really hope that we can reel some of that in. Be obnoxious all you want, but not so whiny about it, not so entitled about it. We're riding high. It's great. But act like you've been here before. Act like you deserve it. Act like we are on a verge of a potential Eagle dynasty. Stop being little whiny babies about, I hate this guy because he talks negative against the Eagles. I hate this guy because he talks negative against I hate MattyB because he's always negative. Stop it, man. Who cares what I say? I want to be the way I want to be. You be the way you want to be. Tolerate me or don't. One or the other. Don't whine about me, man. Come on. Form your own opinion and have your own opinion. I'm not saying you got to respect our opinions or respect what other people say critically about the teams, but stop whining about it, man. Stop whining. It's not a good look. We're supposed to be a middle class, street fighting, dirty, blue collar city. That's gone, man. We're a bunch of whiny little not Gen X, forgive me, Generation X, but millennial babies. And stop it, man. It's very non-becoming. Matt, what is with the schedule changing next month? Oh, you meant on the network. I'm not going to reveal any more of that. This show is not changing. We're going to move some things around. We're going to bring in a new show right now, probably either on Monday night or Tuesday night. And we're going to do some changes with one of the other shows. Don't worry about it. It's nothing drastic. It's just we're tweaking some things up. I'm giving some people an opportunity to return to the airwaves on a weekly basis who have been off the air for a while, been sitting on the sideline, but they've expressed their interest to get back in the game. So I'm going to make some room for some people with some shows, and then give some people their own shows as well. So just all positive changes. And it's going to be in November, not in October. I'll reveal more about it as we get closer. But always, you guys got to change, man. You got to keep on swimming, or I'm going to die. So don't worry about it, Ricky. Nothing negative. It's all positive. I'm not going anywhere. Vic Fangio, talk about Phillies, but also needs to stop. Yeah, exactly, Star Wars. Coming into your press conference talking about the magic number. Come on, man. Listen, we get it. It's not as bad as Bryce Harper and the Philly Fanatics socks and sneakers and the headband. It's not as bad as that, but you're right. Do your job, man. Do your job. Is attacking third going? Yes. There's nothing, no shows are being taken away. We're making a switch with some hosting duties on some shows, and we're adding a show. So we're not taking anything away from the lineup. We're just adding two. All right. So just relax. Nothing is changing like that. But let's talk some Eagles now that you guys got me all fired up. 33-26. The offense was an accumulation of the first 2 weeks and then some in the first half of that football game yesterday. The defense, God love the Eagle defense. The biggest surprise of 2025 by far away has been the play of the defense. Now, I was uber critical about the defense heading into the season. I thought the Eagles did the wrong thing by letting Darius Slay, CJ, DJ, GJ, Isaiah Rodgers, Milton Williams, obviously Brandon Graham retires, Josh Sweat, and then whoever else decided to leave. And I was really not on board with what they brought in to replace it. I thought there was a lot of unknowns involved, a lot of lower level type free agents, kind of relying on some draft picks to sort of pick up the slack. But so far through 3 games, it has been the defense that is the primary reason that the Eagles are 3-0. And if anybody out there wants to debate me on that and come up with another factor of why this team is 3-0, other than the play of its defense, primarily, I get it all has to kind of marry together, and you have to have contributions from all over the field. But if not for the play of this defense, the Eagles would have gotten blown out yesterday. It would have been a bloodbath. If not for the play of the defense, they would have lost in week 1 to the Dallas Cowboys. And if not for the play of the defense, they would have lost against Kansas City. I mean, at the end of the day, if you boil it down, it was the defense that rose to the occasion all 3 weeks of the season. And they have not missed a beat from last season up to this point. The big thing about the Eagles so far through week 3 has been the word sustainable and sustainability. And can you keep living on the edge like this, winning on the edge? Can you rely on 2 blocked field goals? Can you rely on Travis Kelce not turning around in time to catch a ball? Can you rely on Miles Sanders fumbling down by the goal line? Can you rely on Sean McVay not apparently quitting on the game at halftime and not finishing the thing out and leaving a lot of points on the field and not being aggressive enough offensively? Can you rely on those things to win in 2025? Can you rely on those things to win a Super Bowl? That has been the big question. And of course, a lot of the feelings and memories are very reminiscent of what happened in 2023. Because if you listen very carefully, you can hear a lot of the same things that were being talked about in 2023. And we brought back some of those phrases that I remember so well during that season. A win is a win is a win. It doesn't have to be style points. You just have to win. That basically was what you heard week after week during the start or first 11 weeks of the 2023 season, until the win is a win and style points did matter because the team fell apart. So I have memories of 2023, and Kyle Quinn and me talked about it last week on the Birds Blast, the PTSD that apparently no Eagle fan has anymore. Matter of fact, I think most of them have forgotten 2023 even existed. And we're regurgitating some of that same stuff here in 2025. And is it warranted? Does this team right now in 2025, week 3, does it remind you, or does it have 2023 vibes? A lot of homers out there want to fight back and say, no, this is a whole different situation. And they cite the Super Bowl championship, and they also cite Saquon Barkley as being part of why this is not the same team. I, of course, will push back and say it is the same team. Super Bowl championship be damned. I mean, that has nothing to do with it. But Saquon Barkley has been, for the most part, neutralized through 3 weeks of the season. And this was a concern of a lot of Eagle fans, and me included. Nobody thought Saquon was going to replicate 2024, and up to this point, he hasn't. And actually, this week, week 3, was like an all-time low for him. He was extremely ineffective in the game yesterday against the Los Angeles Rams. And as we go through every week so far, and you start seeing either defenses have figured Saquon out, Saquon's tired, Saquon's, maybe he's getting older and he's lost a half a step, whatever the case may be, why Saquon, the offensive line's not blocking well enough for him, whatever the case is, why Saquon's not effective. The spotlight has been shown on to the passing attack. And then, of course, the Kevin Petula criticisms, throwing this guy under the bus, but blaming him for everything that was wrong with the Eagles offense and everything else, because that's what we do here. That's what we do. So on Sunday in the first half, it all came to a head. It was just one of the more disgraceful offensive performances I've ever seen. The one saving grace was, of course, the defense. The defense kept the Rams in the road. They could still see them down the road, but they didn't let the Rams get away. And then in the second half, something happened. And that's the big question. What happened in the second half? There was a dust up on the sidelines. There were some words exchanged. There were some looks given. There was some frustration released on that sideline. Then the Eagles come out and they start slinging the ball around the field. Now, did Jalen Hurts take over play calling duties in the second half of that football game? I don't think he did. I honestly do not think. Did Nick Sirianni take over play calling duties in the second half of that football game? Was there a conglomeration of Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and Kevin Padula calling plays in the second half of that game? Something happened in the second half. And what is the result of that? Obviously, with the win now, what is that going to have of effect on moving into week 4 and beyond? Is there now an issue between quarterback, offensive coordinator, star wide receiver, offensive coordinator, head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback, and wide receiver? Are we starting to see the beginnings of a drama situation, much like what happened in 2023? Remember I went rogue at the end of the Packer game? Or was it the Vikings game? Whatever that game where they went rogue at the end of, and Jalen Hurts ignored the play and called his own. Are we starting to see the beginnings of that here in week 3? And moving forward, what ramifications does that have on the Eagles' offensive attack? The other theory that exists out there is that for some reason the Eagles were playing possum the entire first half, and they were lulling the Rams into a false sense of security, and then all of a sudden they're going to turn it on in the second half. I mean, that's a technique. It's a ballsy technique. That's a technique that allows you to have a lot of confidence in your team for that. I don't necessarily think that was the technique, but there's a theory floating around. The other theory was the Eagles were aided by the Rams, and essentially the Rams saying the game was over at halftime, and that Sean McVay did not, called off the dogs in the second half, thinking they were going to coast to victory. So I think figuring out what happened on Sunday, and then what are the ramifications of that moving into week 4 and beyond, is a very important story, a story that we'll never know. It's never going to come out what happened on that sideline. It's never going to come out who went off on who. It's never going to come out on any of that stuff. But the question still remains, what's wrong with the Eagle offense? Is this sustainable? Is going down 20 or 19-7 at half, then early on in the second half, 26-7, and then fighting your way back and relying on 2 blocked field goals and 1 return for a touchdown? Is that a sustainable way to win in 2025 as we move forward into the season? Good teams find a way to win. They do. But it just seems the way that the Eagles have started the season off. They found not fluky ways, not clunky ways, but just kind of off-scripted ways to win in these football games. And I know a lot of people are now turning the script around by saying, everybody wants to talk about 2023. No one wants to talk about what happened in 2024. Well, I'm here to talk about that. What do you remember from 2024? I remember the Eagles struggling through the first 4 weeks, going 2-2, totally revamping the offense because they couldn't trust the passing game, handing the ball to Saquon Barkley, and he ran from here to Asia and back again. And they relied heavily on that ground attack. And the ground attack did loosen up the air attack, and whatever the offense had to do through the air was there because of what Saquon Barkley was providing them primarily from the ground. There was no fluky 2-block field goal games going on. I mean, there was some flukiness. They got a little lucky against the Browns, a little lucky against the Jaguars, a little lucky against the Panthers. But for the most part, it was solid offensive ground game that got them to victories. So I don't understand why you want us to refer to 2024. Absolutely. I'll refer to it. But then I'll shoot down the theory that way is because our running game is not solid so far through 3 games. It's not. And if Saquon does not pick it up, can this offense win week after week against this schedule playing this way? And is the team going to internally combust again like they did in 2023? Is there going to be a divide in that locker room between coordinator and quarterback, between coordinator, quarterback, and wide receiver, between coordinator, quarterback, wide receiver, and coach? Is that divide going to occur? Because we've also seen that happen with these same people, with the exception of the coordinator. So ramification-wise, enjoying the victory, getting off to a 3-0 start, how should Eagle fans be feeling right now? And that's the question I want you guys to answer that. How should we be feeling? Star Wars says we're losing in week 4. Mickey Delaney, what's going on? Matt, is the Phillies lineup out? What, for tomorrow? No. What, huh? I'm going to bring up last year after week 3. Barkley turned it up. It was after week 4, right? Is that what my memory remembers? We played the Buccaneers in week 4, just like we're going to do in this year. We lost to the Buccaneers. We got kind of embarrassed by the Buccaneers. Then it was the big thing of Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata going to the head coach and saying, run the ball. Why aren't we running with Saquon more? Then they come out against the Browns, and it wasn't the prettiest game. That was the game where Nick Sirianni's arguing with the fans as he's running off the field at halftime, right? That wasn't the prettiest game. But they found a way to beat the Browns, and then Saquon Barkley was off and running into the history books right after that. That's what I remember from 2024. Everyone seems to forget that. Everyone doesn't remember that. Everyone just thinks Saquon got the ball from week 1 and that was it. No, there was a problem with the offense and the passing game heading into week 4 of last season. And they, so much so that they took away the responsibility from the quarterback and gave it to the running back. Now the running back's not functional. Hasn't been the same Saquon Barkley. They've reverted back to the passing game, and the passing game's been struggling. I said this last week. You know, you're going to blame a third different offensive coordinator, but the same players that have been here for the entire time don't get any blame for the struggles of the offense. That doesn't make any sense to me either. Is this offense capable of winning football games through the air? And I guess that's the question. That's the question that I want to know. Can Jalen Hurts win you football games on his own offensively? My buddy lives in St. Louis, and Stafford is taking the blame because of injury. Really? They're blaming an injury? Listen, the Rams laid down. I don't know what the reason, what the philosophy was. After they got that 26-7 lead early in the third quarter, they called the dogs off. And they went into soft defensive coverages, trying to keep everything in front of them, giving up the chunk plays, not caring about that, just making sure the clock is moving. Offensively, their game plan went to hell. The Eagles defense stepped it up. I am not taking anything away from the Eagles. But defensively, the team called the dogs off. And they allowed the Eagles to kind of fight their way back in. We've seen it happen a million times. We've seen it happen to the Eagles a million times. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's just, did the Eagles get lucky yesterday? Were they able to escape from a game in a game they should have lost? But good defense is not luck. Good defense is good defense. But the question still remains: how are Eagle fans supposed to feel at this point of the season with this product of football that you've seen through 3 games? We're about out of the week next week with whatever happens against the Buccaneers. And, you know, to the Eagles' credit, it worked out because we're out of that preseason excuse part next week, right? I mean, we're into the second quarter of the season after week 4. You can't use we didn't really play anybody in preseason excuse anymore, right? You have had 4 weeks. Now, the Eagles, to their credit, have gone through that with a no worse than 3-1 record. And that's pretty good. That puts you in a good position. That doesn't hurt your season at all. But as we move into October, November, and December, is this the type of football we're going to be having to see from this team? And can they win games against the teams that they're going to have to play on this schedule? And is it too early to ask that question? Are you still waiting for the Eagles to define themselves offensively? Are they still rounding in the form? Are you part of that camp that says, I'm still waiting to see, after, say, week 4 or 5, how this offense is? And Kevin Padula, a lot of people now in some circles are claiming he's the worst coordinator in the entire game. And how is that going to wash out against, as we already know, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are not the most patient people in the world. A.J. Brown certainly isn't. How much longer before Drama Llama infects the Eagle locker room, much like it did in 2023? And are we witnessing an accident? Are we approaching an accident that we can't see and that we don't want to veer away from? So again, the question is, what or how do you feel, or how should Eagles fans feel right now at this point of the season with the way this team is playing? Matt, can you do a Flyers live? I do a Flyers post-game show after every single Flyers game, Ricky. It's called Clear the Ice. It'll be season 4 of that post-game show. It'll premiere on October the 9th, immediately following Flyers-Panthers. It's me, Mike, and I think Pat are going to do it this year, much like in a Fightin's Final type style. All right, we're going to come on right after the games, give our breakdown of the game, and then be done. And we're going to do that pretty much the same way we do the Fightin's Final. So, yes, we do. We do a Flyers post-game show every night. We don't stop. Why doesn't Jake Elliott give enough? Why doesn't Jake Elliott give enough credit? Does he give enough credit or get enough credit? I'm giving him credit. Jake Elliott's foot kept the Eagles around in games too. Absolutely. 100%. But is that sustainable? Your kicker. I brought it up to Kyle. I don't know, you were listening the other day when we were talking about that, or Al. I brought up to Kyle again this week about Jake Elliott. And he accepted that, and he's right. He's like, yeah, I can accept the kicker as your MVP of the game. But what does that say about the rest of the team? What image does that present to you about the rest of this team? I'm not saying Jake Elliott doesn't deserve his credit. He does. He's kept the Eagles in games, and he's won some games for them this year as well. Absolutely. But if we're going to the kicker, what is that saying about your team? And how does that make you feel if the kicker is the one bailing you out every week? And I know that you guys out there got to agree with me. You can't expect to win football games week to week by blocking multiple field goal attempts and returning one for a touchdown every week. I mean, we are on the same page there, right? But I get a lot of venom, a lot of hate comes my way because I am not just sitting back, shutting my mouth, keeping my head down and coloring. I'm criticizing wins. Yeah, of course I'm going to criticize wins because the ones who are fighting back so hard, the ones that fight back so hard on the narrative that they're not winning, that it's an ugly win, they feel probably less secure about this team than I do, but they just don't want to talk about it because they'll get booted off the island or something like that. So where is the midway point in all this? Where is the Mendoza line here? I mean, how do the Eagles turn this offense around? What do you got to see from this offense in order to accept this offense as viable? Do you got to see Jalen Hurts throwing for 300 yards a game and 3 touchdowns? Kyle brought it up as well the other week. Perhaps the game plan is designed every week to try to use the strong suits of Jalen Hurts, to try to maximize his ability to succeed. And that's not necessarily dropping back and letting it go, right? We've seen that. There's been multiple statements to that fact. A.J. Brown said it. Don't worry. It doesn't matter, basically, about the coordinator. We're running Jalen Hurts' offense. So this is the quarterback, the offense that he feels more comfortable in. And I'm not saying what we've been watching for the first 3 games has been that offense, but that bland throw, we're going to run. We're going to set up very high percentage type throws. We're not going to put the ball in harm's way. We're not going to allow Jalen Hurts to get the ball in harm's way. We're not going to make turnovers the situation. Kyle Quinn said it. The hell with that. Throw the ball 20 yards down the field every now and again. It's just as good as a punt if it gets intercepted. I agree with that. You can't keep Jalen Hurts in a bubble. You can't. You got to let him, if we're going to call him elite, you got to let him try to play that way. So what is it? Is it a negligent, criminally negligent offensive coordinator who doesn't know what he's doing? Apparently got a job with the defending Super Bowl champions somehow. Or is it your quarterback? Are they protecting him? Are they protecting Jalen Hurts and not putting him in harm's way? I want to know. I want to know. We can't go for 2-point conversions a lot. Why not? Why can't we? I don't understand that. It's funny the Jets did it twice yesterday too. What, they blocked 2 field goals yesterday? Maybe the book's out on field goal blocking. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the book is out. I don't know. We are about 42 minutes into the show, and I am going to open up the phone lines right now. So if you want to chime into everything we're talking about or anything that we're talking about, bring up any new topic, the phone lines are open. It's not an actual call in. You're not going to, there's no phone number here, but you click on that link that just popped up on all of our social media chat that we're streaming off of right now. It puts you backstage with me, and I put you on stage and we talk. I just need to be able to communicate with you verbally. So I need you to be able to talk to me. You don't have to have a camera on if you don't feel comfortable, but you have to be able to speak to me in order to communicate with me. So the phone lines are open. We do this on the show. I got to get better with it. 45 minutes into the program, it's a little late to open up the phone lines, but they're open now. Chime on in. Your dime, your conversation. We are talking Eagles. And what is wrong with the offense? Is there anything? Is there anybody out there who thinks the offense is fine? Is there anybody out there who thinks that this game today or yesterday was a prelude of what's going to be like in week 4 and week 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Are the Eagles now going to go back to the air? I think that to be a knowledgeable football person, you got to see that the Eagles took advantage of what the Rams gave them in the second half, which was a lot of throwing lanes because they were playing soft zone coverage. They were keeping everybody in front of them. And no one's talking about that either. They do mention the fact that the Rams lay down, but they're not discussing primarily why these lanes were opened up and why all of a sudden it became easy for Jalen Hurts to throw the ball. So are we fooling ourselves? And the other topic of conversation today are the Philadelphia Phillies. The Paul Owens Award for the top minor league players in the Phillies system for 2025 were given out today, both for a position player and a pitcher. Your position player, minor league player of the year, is Otto Kemp. And your pitcher, your top pitching player of the year for the Philadelphia Phillies is Griff McGarry. Otto Kemp was somebody probably that I could feasibly see winning this award heading into this season, but Griff McGarry had fallen off of the cliff as far as Phillies prospects had went. Was down in high A to start the season and battled his way all the way back to AAA. Took him a whole season to do it, but he's back, and he gets honored today with the Paul Owens Award as the top Phillies minor league pitcher. And hopefully, as we move into the future with the Phillies beyond this season, and some of the pitching questions continue to come up, like Zach Wheeler's durability, his long-term health, and of course, what's going on with Aaron Nola, all those things. Griff McGarry, Andrew Painter, Gene Cabrera, players like that, pitchers like that kind of forced their way into the conversation of the future of the Phillies starting rotation. We might need them sooner than later based on what we've seen from Aaron Nola. So Griff McGarry, your pitcher of the year in the minor leagues for the Phillies, and Otto Kemp. And what can I say about Otto? What can I say about him, man? Showed up on my radar about a year ago, or no, about midway through the 2024 season. This kid named Otto Kemp started showing up down on the Phillies farm segments as your player of the week. Began to really make a name for himself. Stayed consistently good throughout 2024. And then this year in the first half was completely off the charts. Kemp was, I think, batting like over 400 when they called him up the first time. Just a menace in the AAA level. And he has actually transitioned fairly well to the major league level. Given sporadic playing time, getting an opportunity where he can, he's made the most of it. And I think he's made such an effort that he's played himself onto the Phillies postseason roster. I honestly do. I said long time ago, before the season began, that there was going to be a minor league player that I didn't know who, but I have a feeling there's going to be a minor league player that becomes a focal story of the Phillies 2025 season. I didn't know who that player would be. Maybe I was thinking it was Crawford, but I knew there was somebody. And could Otto Kemp be that guy? Could Otto Kemp come out of nowhere and help the Phillies win a World Series? I really hope he makes his way onto the postseason roster. So, can we talk baseball? Does Riley break the records for home runs by a rookie? Probably. I hope so. Do it, man. Give the Seattle Mariners something to pump out their chest over. Cal Riley, the big dumper catcher. Does Jude or Riley break the home run record? Riley. Give me the big dumper just because of his name. I like that name. All right, let's bring Ricky on. Ricky, how you doing tonight?
Let's go Phillies.
Let's go Phillies indeed. Ricky, we're getting ready to start the final homestand of the 2025 regular season. Phillies, Marlins, Phillies, Twins. First place or the number one seed seems kind of distant right now, as the Phillies are more than likely going to finish out number 2. Ricky, with potential, because we don't know. I mean, this is going to be a great week in baseball because you got one playoff spot up for grabs in the National League, and you got about 4 teams vying for it. So it's going to be some really good, entertaining baseball coming down the stretch here. But the way baseball brackets their teams, Ricky, you there? It's happened yesterday. Ricky, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can hear me. We can't see anymore, Ricky, but we can still hear you. But what baseball does with their brackets, they'll take the 1 and 2 seeds. So I believe the 2 seed will battle the winner of the 4 and 5 matchup, and the 1 seed will battle the winners of the 3 and 6. So you're looking at 4 and 5. So you're looking at right now 4 would probably be the I think it's the Dodgers, and 5 would be the top wild card team, which I believe right now is the Cubs. And then so you're looking at the Phillies potentially having to face either the Dodgers or the Cubs in the NLDS. Are you okay with that matchup, Ricky? Are you okay with either seeing the Dodgers and Cubs in the NLDS, or would you rather see, I don't know, like the Mets or somebody else like that?
Mm-hmm.
You're okay with Dodgers and Cubs, huh? I think, yeah, because Dodgers would be the 3rd seed because they have the worst record of all the division winners. And then the 5 would be, they'd be the 3rd seed. Wait, what am I doing here? No, they got 4. So it would be 2 wild card teams, right? Right? 2 wild card teams, 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get this straight, Ricky. You got 3 divisions. You got 1 playing 3 and 6, 2 playing 4 and 5. So 4 would be the top wild card team, which would be, I guess, right now, San Diego. No, Chicago. Yeah, I'm right. Chicago. And then number 5 would be San Diego right now, right? So it'd be Chicago and San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. All right, Ricky. Well, listen, Phillies, Marlins tomorrow, Phillies, Twins over the weekend. Then we got some playoffs. We'll talk tomorrow, Ricky. Have yourself a good night, man.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Hale joins us. Joe, what's going on?
What you just said. The Cubs don't earn their first playoff.
Who has the first seed? San Diego?
It's the winner. Reds and Mets.
But the Reds
MLB
and
just
Mets
tied it up.
So the bracket is
Would have to face each other.
so the 1 seed plays the winner of 3 and 6, correct?
Yes.
2 plays the winner of 4 and 5.
Yes.
Number 3 is the Dodgers. Correct?
No, number 3 would be if the Padres win today, which they're not going to, they would jump in front of LA.
Okay, right now, say the season ended tonight. So it's over. So the Dodgers would be your 3rd seed. And your 6th seed would be either the Reds, Mets, Diamondbacks, one of them teams, right?
It's all confusing. MLB. So it would be the Cubs, but the Cubs would have to play a tiebreaker because they had the same record as the Reds.
So basically, the wild card pitcher, even though the Cubs have clinched, they're in. They're going to be a wild card. The positioning in the wild card is all up for grabs, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's
so we don't really know.
The Mets play the Cubs this week.
Yeah, they play them tomorrow, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Yeah, and then they finish up the season against the Marlins.
Who, the Mets?
Mets, yeah.
So I listen to 94 and 97.5, and from what they said, it was all 3 of the Eagles calling plays. It was just not one of them. They were all doing it.
So it was a conglomeration of Sirianni, Hurts, and Padula.
Yes, okay. It wasn't just Sirianni.
Yeah. I can believe that, but obviously there was a change. Obviously there was a different flow. There was a different voice or different voices involved because the plays got a little bit more aggressive. The defense also gave them a little bit more, so they took advantage of that. But is that sustainable? Joe, do you think it's sustainable to have 3 different voices calling plays for the offense?
No, it should be 1.
So what do you think happens?
Situation, I think John Hurst does his own thing.
And that we've seen that not work out too well.
In 03, you want to go back to 03.
23.
The Padula situation reminds of a Brian Johnson situation.
Yes.
When they weren't on the same page.
And but Joe, I always go back to this. I agree with you. When it was happening, that was definitely the flavor, right? I agree with that. But Joe, we've had the same situation. Right, but we've had the same problem over the last 3 years. 3 different offensive coordinators, same problems with the offense. Yeah, again, I'm not advocating that Brian Johnson was great. Yeah, he wasn't really good, but Kellen Moore had a problem. But what saved Kellen Moore was freaking Saquon Barkley. He's plain and simple. That's saved Kellen Moore, right? Because he was on his way to having the same problem with this offense if Saquon didn't have that type of season. So here we are in 25. Saquon's not having that type of season, at least up to this point. Now we're reverting back to Brian Johnson. Now we got the drama. Now we got multiple voices. We saw that didn't work in 23. They imploded. They blew up internally because of what happened in 23. All the drama, the locker room divided. They're going rogue in games. But is it sustainable? Can you win a Super Bowl with 3 different voices calling offensive plays? And can this offense, without Saquon Barkley, successfully defend their Super Bowl championship?
No, but I'm going to give you a point. Go back to last year, 61-yarder, touchdown, Dallas Goedert. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What happened yesterday? 61-yarder, Jordan Davis, right? What happened the year they beat the Patriots?
In 2017?
61-yarder.
Yeah, against the Giants.
Jake Elliott.
Yeah.
What happened when they went to the Super Bowl? A 61-yarder. Is it clout? You never know with this team. It has up and downs.
And that's I think the
And
biggest issue that a lot of fans are having, that there is no consistency with this team right now. They're up and down, as you said. It's 1 week it's one thing, 1 week it's another thing. And we are on the cusp, Joe, of something special. You can build a dynasty this year, but can you build it like this? Or do we need to see a little bit more of that Super Bowl pedigree?
We need to see a little bit more.
I agree.
I haven't beaten Tampa. I'm gonna go out right now because I don't know if I'm gonna be on whatever time you guys do it. Eagles win by 3.
You say you're going to Tampa for the game?
Tampa doesn't scare. No, I won't be on. I'll be at bowling whenever you guys do it.
Oh, okay. So Tampa wins by 3?
No, Eagles win by 3.
Eagles beat Tampa in Tampa by 3.
A late second field. Yes.
Okay. All right. And we'll get into our picks later in the week. No, you never know. You're right. And it's got to stop some point. And we'll get into our picks later this week, of course, on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn on Thursday. We'll get into all that. But, Joe, any Phillies things you want to talk about before I let you go?
Can we talk college football?
Sure. Whatever you want.
The rankings. Miami jumped in front of Penn State. Why?
I don't know. Maybe because Penn State, even though they've been playing some appetizers and beating them somewhat handily, it hasn't looked that good. And Franklin's record against top 10 teams, and he's about to play Oregon on Saturday. Maybe that's a combination of all that. Maybe they gave Penn State the number 2 ranking through the first 3 weeks because of the easy competition, maybe.
And we've seen upset. Penn State defeats Oregon by 10.
I don't think that's an upset. I think everyone thinks that. I think they should be. I think they're a better team than Oregon. Then they got the James Franklin effect. What about Texas falling, even though they've sort of turned it around?
Phillies, Andrew Painter, minor league rookie of the year for Lehigh. It was just announced.
He was the Lehigh Valley rookie or the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs pitcher of the year?
Yes.
That's because Abel got traded.
Listen,
well deserved.
We're going to see we're going to see what Abel got. He's starting this week in Philly.
He's playing for the Twins this week? No, they're not going to do that to him, are they?
Yeah.
He's going to pitch for the Twins against the Phillies on the final weekend of the season?
Yeah. He got called up.
That's awesome, man. That's actually going to be really much. I mean, that's the only thing that's intriguing about that game. It doesn't mean anything for either team, but that's going to be fun to see. I didn't even think about that. That's right. Twins are coming in. All right. Well, we'll see. Hopefully see Mick Abel this weekend.
All right.
Anything else, Joe?
I'll let you go.
All right, Joe. Listen, thanks always for joining us. No, I ain't talking Sixers, Joe. Don't take me down. Yep. There's plenty of time for that. All right. Joe Hale. I'm going to talk Sixers. Crazy. I don't got that kind of strength. All right. Thanks a lot, Joe, Ricky. Again, the phone lines are open. If you want to jump on, you can. We're winding down the show, so if you're going to do it, you got to do it now. Let's get into our final segment of the night. All right, it is the MattyB card review segment. We end up every single show with this. I take one of my very many sports card collections, and we have some fun talking about it. We were on baseball last night. 2020. I can't remember who I do tonight. Oh, it was Gunnar Henderson's 2024 35th anniversary Topps card. That's what it was. 2025. That's what it was. Well, we're going to stay in 2025. We're going to stay in Topps, and we're going to stay with a rookie card. He's one of the crop of young rookies that we're going to talk about tonight, this card here, that's going to be the face of baseball in about 5 or 6 years. I think there's definitely a few of them out there. I'll name some of them. These are not all inclusive, but baseball has to constantly reinvent itself in order to stay relevant. And that is by the faces of the game. And of course, today's faces of the game: Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani, players like that. They're the faces of the game. Mike Trout's face is sort of blurring right now as he's sort of fading out of relevancy. But those are the faces of this game right now. But there's always got to be a next group of players. There's always got to be that next crop that they're grooming to take over the mantle as the faces of the sport. And this player that we're going to talk about tonight, I think he's one of them. I've gushed about this trade over and over again on this show. The Juan Soto trade in 2023, sending Soto to the Pod. Was it 23? I can't even remember. Was it 23? No, 22. The Juan Soto trade in 2022, sending him to the Padres for a boatload of young prospects that came back the Nationals' way. And now we're starting to see some of those prospects get their first taste in Major League Baseball. James Wood's one of them. C.J. Abrams is another one. Tonight, it's the third one, who I think is another hit along those lines of that trade. This might go down remember I said this. That trade in 22 from the Nationals to the Padres with Soto might go down as one of the best trades in baseball history when it's all said and done with. The Nationals might be able to rebuild themselves just based on that trade. And I think they are on their way to doing that. But tonight we're going to talk about the third member of that trade, the most important, I think, piece so far that they've gotten, and definitely one of the more exciting pieces, as the Nationals seem to have their outfield set for the next 15 years with James Wood and this guy. And I'm going to talk about Mr. Dylan Cruz. And there you go. This is Dylan's 2025 Topps Grapefruit League card, his rookie card. The Grapefruit League is a insert, right? It's not a separate set. There's not a set of Grapefruit League cards floating around out there that MLB did or Topps did. This is just an insert into I believe it was Series 1 from Topps this year. I think it was in Series 1. They inserted these cards into the set. There's a few of them rolling around, and Dylan Cruz and one of his rookie card variants gets in there. Now, this is not his official rookie card. His official rookie card is from the 2025 Topps set. It's not card number 74, I believe. I have a few of them laying around here. But this is one of the variants or one of the inserts. And smart looking card. I love the design graphics on this as they kind of played around with some funkiness. And it's got the Topps rookie shield up there in the top left-hand corner. It's got a nice little sort of offset background, multiple graphic background with some holographic images in it. Pretty cool looking card and pretty valuable right now, actually, as we sit here on this late September evening. This card goes as a PSA 10 right now for about $40. And there's somebody trying to sell it right now on eBay for $150. I don't know if they're going to get that, but it grades out on a lot of marketable databases as a PSA 10 at about a $15 card right now. So these are now, do I advocate selling this card today? No. This is if you're into selling baseball cards, or if you're into selling cards at all, or trying to, become a millionaire in the sports card business, this is one of those catch-22s. You sit on a card like this, hoping that the player becomes that face of the MLB, or do you get out while you can. And this is why this thing is so fun to play around with. And Dylan Cruz is positioning himself to being one of those premier players in MLB in the future. So this is his 2025 Grapefruit League card. Basically, it was an insert card that they put in the Series 1. And there's a few players that have these cards. Not everybody does, but Dylan Cruz definitely has one. And right now, as a PSA 10, it's about $15. So I advocate holding on to this card because it could potentially go up in value. And if it's sitting at $15 now, you're looking at, again, it's like playing the stock market, man. It's up one day, it's down the next. It's crashed one day, it's rising the next. It's fun, but it's definitely frustrating. And here it is right now in its physical form. Of course, all my cards are raw. None of them are graded, but this is a pretty clean card. I mean, this literally came out of the pack and went right in the plastic. So this card really has not even seen much of the air since it's come into my possession. So definitely holding on to this card. Smart looking card. Love the graphics. Love the holograph all that stuff about this baseball card. And I think Topps did it's a very cool insert to do the Grapefruit League cards. And there's a few of them rolling around out there. So if you're collecting Topps 2025 Series 1 or 2, actually, you might find one of these cards, or even actually in Chrome as well. But Dylan Cruz is our card of the night. Cruz is a center field. Yes, I know. And Woods is an outfielder as well. So Wood is an outfielder. So the Nationals are setting their outfield of the future. He made a play of the day and dove and came out of the glove, and he caught the ball barehanded. Yep. I'm telling you, Joe. You heard it here first. That trade is going to net if the Nationals do rise out of the ashes, which I think they're starting to, and they got to get a little bit more ballsier in free agency. They got to make some splash signings to sort of, get some veteran hitters, veteran pitchers mixed in with these young kids, kind of offset some of that, balance it out a little bit. But if the Nationals are going to rise out of the ashes, it's going to be on the bats of Dylan Cruz, C.J. Abrams, James Wood, and on the arm of Mackenzie Gore. All four players were critical pieces in that Soto trade. So it's going to be fun. And again, it might haunt the Phillies for years to come. When they start hitting. Gage Woods won't be ready until 2033. Jeez Louise, dude. 2033. I think we're going to see Gage a little bit earlier than that, Star Wars. If it's going to take him 8 years to make the major leagues, I don't know, Star Wars. That's longer than it took Mick Abel. Come on, man. Have some faith. Gage Wood, listen, are you remarking of Gage Wood's 13.50 ERA through 2 starts with the Clearwater Threshers? Listen, I get it. It wasn't a very auspicious debut of his MLB career or pro career, but I am not taking anything in the stock. Gage Wood's starting out on a very long journey to become a Major League Baseball pitcher. Talk to me in about a year. Then, I'll make some key assessments about Gage Wood, but not right now. We got to give him time. Got to give him time to incubate there. Star Wars, got to let him grow. He's not going to be ready until 2029. If he's not sniffing the Phillies by 29, then we got some issues. But I know there was a lot of fans out there that were like, Gage Wood, man, he's coming to help us win the World Series. And I'm like, there ain't no way in hell. But no, I disagree. 2033 is a little bit far out. So the Lions beat the Ravens. That's an upset. Upset special, and I'm sure that really hurt me on the fantasy side. As a really bad week probably got worse for me. Let's take a look. What's the damage here? Yeah, I got smoked, man. So Zay Flowers 2 points tonight, Derrick Henry 10, and the Raven defense -4. This might be one of, and of course David Montgomery, who was on my team. I benched him, and he's ripped off about 30 points. Ay. Man, oh man. I got the brakes beat off me this week in fantasy football. Terrible week for me. My first loss of the season. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap me up. Great night. Thank you for joining in the program. We'll be back tomorrow night with the Fightins Final, and then I will follow the Fightins Final at whenever that is. So here's your schedule one more time for the week on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Tomorrow, you got the Phillies Marlins in the Fightins Final, and you got me coming right after that. And here's our schedule for the rest of the week. So make sure you're checking us out, checking in, and being part of what we're doing over here. I appreciate everyone's contributions. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow night. You have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Make sure you're back for the Fightins Final following Phillies Marlins. And Joe's asking who's got the final tomorrow. Well, it's Tuesday, Joe. Who do you think's got the final? The same guy that's been doing Tuesdays all season. And here it is. For those of you that don't know the lineup, this is the Fightins Final lineup for the week. Steve, Mike, and Pat. Maybe Pat on Thursday. It might be me. So we'll have to wait and see. But there's your lineup right now. Steve, Mike, and Pat, or me. We'll wait and see about Thursday night. So until we talk tomorrow night, guys, you guys have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you later.